And a good morning to you all, and welcome to the starting lineup. Great to have you with us on an absolutely beautiful Friday in the Ozarks. Ned Reynolds joined by
Scott Puryear.
And Art Haynes will be with us a little bit later on for the next 2 hours. We are right here talking sports and whatever. Like to hear from you at 417-447-1021, 447-1021, calling or texting, both the same number, and we would like your comments and queries and so forth and so on. Starting lineup brought to you by Play It Again Sports, Fremont Shopping Center, Battlefield in Fremont, Springfield. Can't go wrong, folks. Absolutely cannot go wrong. A visit to Play It Again Sports, you will find everything in the sports world that you could need. Uniforms, the whole works. It's right there at Play It Again Sports, plus some great trading items as well. Hey, give them a shot. Play It Again Sports, Fremont Shopping Center, Battlefield in Fremont, Springfield. Also brought to you by Swing Right Golf at the south end of Campbell Avenue, a little bit north of Nixa, where they, at Swing Right Golf, they have those simulators inside, the outdoor batting cages, and a little golf up there as well. Perfect place for you to visit and have a good time at Swing Right Golf. Brought to you by Citizens Bank of Rogersville, with two locales, two routes as they call them. One is adjacent to Highland Springs and the other in Rogersville. And by Marshfield Chevrolet at the I-44 exit, couple of left turns, and you are driving into Marshfield Chevrolet and driving into some great deals indeed. But on the warm side today, Berger.
It is, yeah. And, I was just thinking that it's Scott out there does a great job with Swing Right Golf. But if you walk down the aisles, it's actually Swing Wrong Golf, a lot of them, It's why they're there. If they were swinging right, they wouldn't be out there trying to fix what's broke, But no, it's a fun place, and we appreciate their sponsorship. I thought about this on the way in. You don't have Netflix, so you did not get to watch the Field of Dreams game, right?
I did read about it, but no, I didn't see it.
One of my favorite, and they only do one a year, don't they? Or do they do a couple?
I think they do a couple.
Do they?
Games,
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite things to watch is the when them coming out of the corn.
The Hall of Famers.
Yeah. It's just so cool. And we went over to my oldest son's house to play with the grandkids, and I missed the start of it. And I will say this is the beauty of, like, when something's on Netflix, I could back out, go to the menu, and then hit play from start. So I was able to go back and watch it, and I didn't care about the game. I mean, the game's a game, It's kind of cool when
it is a regular season game.
Yeah, Schwarber hits 2 homers into the corn, and stuff. But the ceremony with the Hall of Famers coming out of there, man, that just gets me every time. And
who was there?
Raleigh Fingers, and it's almost like who wasn't there? C.C. Sabathia, Cal Ripken Jr., I'm trying to think who else. Fergie Jenkins was there.
He's still around. Holy shit.
Yeah, Tony La Russa, and Tony's looking old.
I saw him on TV being interviewed by the Cardinals last week, and I thought exactly the same thing. You have aged, buddy.
Yeah, but that just gets me right there every time. Just why, and my Marcus is 34 now, I think, maybe somewhere around there, and. I'm reminding him these are people you watched, when you were coming up and everything, and just really well done. And of course the team, I thought it was kind of funny too. Byron Buxton can't stay healthy for more than 7 hours in a day, but he's all of a sudden activated off the IL to play in the game last night. Of course, yeah, go figure. But,
who does the play-by-play on those games?
Ooh, I knew you'd ask me. Was it Vasgersian?
He does a lot of them.
Did he do the home run derby?
Yes.
Okay, it was him, and then because they had Bonds and Pujols there on their panel, and then L. Duncan, who does a nice job, were the crew. But I didn't watch any of the game. I just wanted to see. It's kind of like the All-Star game. I don't really care about watching the game, but I want to see the reactions when, and of course in Philadelphia they boo everybody except Phillies, and the tip in the hat and all that. But it was really, really well done, and I just what do they do with that field throughout the year?
It's there for exhibitions. That wasn't the only game they had in this particular celebration. There was a minor league game with the Iowa Cubs and somebody a couple of days before, and I think they may have some high school games on there as well. But, yeah, it remains active.
Yeah, so kind of a cool deal. And NFL preseason, we flipped over to that, and those are hard to watch. I mean, the Chiefs want to be okay to watch tomorrow because – you know a lot of the Chiefs because we study it that are fighting for jobs, but in general, those preseason games get pretty rough after the first quarter.
There's nobody you've ever heard of, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, the play is a little bit on the loose side. I didn't see any of the game had another activity last night, but the fact is I will watch tomorrow's Chiefs game for really a masochistic reason. I want to see how they survive the heat. It's going to be down there because it will be very hot.
I will watch it because I want to survive the heat because I think tomorrow's like 98 or 99. I think all weekend that way. But anyway, yeah, so a good weekend to stay inside and watch some golf on the FedEx Cup and preseason football, good baseball starting today with the Cardinals at the Cubs this afternoon. That leads into our starting five, but first we'll tell you our lineup today. Scoreboard Guy Newcomb with the Missouri Sports Network coming on at 7:30. We're a week away from the Jamborees, and so we got things to talk about. We'll talk to Guy at 7:30.
Is that next Friday?
I think so, yeah, because the official opener is the 28th. So
it would be
today, the 14th. Friday, yeah. So, and then 8 o'clock, Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest is going to join us. Matt's our buddy, the Hillcrest grad, does a great job kind of summarizing Chiefs play, Chiefs camp, everything Chiefs as we go into the first preseason game for Kansas City. We'll talk to Matt about what he's seen up in St. Joe to this point. And then our old buddy at 8:30, Barry Hinson, the Oklahoma State. He's now an associate AD, not with NIL anymore. He's been promoted to just associate AD. He said, I'm either promoted or demoted. I can't tell which. But Coach B is going to join us at 8:30. We thought we'd catch up with him and of course, the former Missouri State basketball coach. But he's been involved hands-on with the NIL stuff at Oklahoma State, the last 3 or 4 years?
I would say about that, yes.
Yeah, so we'll talk to Barry about just kind of where this is all going, get his thoughts on that. And, Barry had a health scare about a year ago?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there was some relation to him who had a heart problem of some sort and said, you better get checked out. And that's all he did. He didn't have any episode or anything of that nature, had it checked out. You're a candidate, buddy.
Yeah, I want to say quadruple, maybe.
It may have been that much.
Yeah, and so glad to see Coach B up and being Coach B again, and probably has backed off on the barbecue a little bit.
But has he backed off on the TV commercials?
I don't know, and we'll have to ask him about that, which it was one of the cellular companies, and my understanding was it came about because when Mike Gundy got let go, Gundy was their spokesperson, and that phone company was scrambling. We need somebody from Oklahoma State to represent here, and who else is better to represent anything than Coach B? He can sell. He'd be great in sales. But,
can I tell you a quick story about that? We had a little get together at KY3. Oh, this is 15, 20 years ago. It was one of our station breakfasts. And he was invited to be the guest speaker. It was over at Bass Pro Shops in their Hemingways. So we all gathered there and so forth and so on. KY3's, just across the street, didn't show.
Barry didn't show.
And they said, Reynolds, you were the one who was in charge of this. And I talked to him. Well, he called his office, and I'll be damned if he wasn't there in the office and had forgotten about it. He said, I'm sorry, I'll be right there. Comes in his sweatsuit and all this, and gives us a great speech. He
Nobody has had a better opening press conference in Missouri State coaching hire history than Barry Hinson. And I was a columnist at the time, and I wrote about it that, I think I actually said in print that I felt like I could go climb Mount Everest after that,
absolutely.
Or go run through a wall or something, because Barry had that effect. And it's almost, there's certain people that just win the press conference every time they have it.
And we have had two of, this is not to denigrate anybody else, because I had great respect for the late Bill Thomas. I thought he was great. But Spoon and Hinson were top of the list.
And I'll tell you, on the women's side, the queen of that stuff is Molly Miller. Molly Miller, because she's been interviewed since she was probably 4, knows exactly what to say, how to say it, how to play it, and you can just see now she's got Arizona State, that area captivated with it, and Molly's most dangerous weapon now is that she's got a social media department at Arizona State, and they put out everything. I mean, from pick her top 10 outfits from the season to things like that. But anyway, Coach B going to join us at 8:30. Looking forward to catching up with him as well, and of course Art Haynes in the second hour with us too. Top story, starting five. We got 5 minutes to our break, so we talked about the Field of Dreams game. It goes to the Phillies 7-1. Kyle Schwarber hits 2 bombs in that one. They get off today, don't they? I think the Phillies.
No, I think they're scheduled.
The Twins are off today. Yeah.
That's who they play.
Yeah. No, I think that they don't have a game today. I think the Twins are. Is it a series?
It's a series. This is part of the regular season.
I've got, and I've told you I play a little fantasy baseball just to stay in tune. And I could have sworn I looked today.
This would be a logical day for them to take off.
Where do they go? Do they go to Minnesota?
Minnesota,
okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I was going to say that's probably the natural direction there. But, and I wonder if there's another one of these games this year, or if that's it.
I think that's it.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm looking down. I'm stalling, as you can tell. Yeah, they are off today.
So they play what, tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Day or night?
Tomorrow would be a Twins-Phillies game is at 6:10, so an evening game tomorrow night in Minneapolis there. So, but yeah, Cardinals and Royals both had the day off. Much needed for the Royals. They had a tough series. Yeah, it felt for them because it's the Dodgers, and they played them tough all 3 games. I think lost by 1, 1, and 2, but get to catch their breath yesterday, and now they get the Angels, who are very beatable, and a chance for them to go in.
And how about the Dodgers? They lost again last night.
Yeah, and they've got an Edwin Diaz problem right now. I mean, he's blown, I think, 6 out of 10 save opportunities maybe, or 4 out of 10. I can't remember which, but blew another one last night. When you're a guy that has all the lights going off and trumpets playing, Timmy Trumpet, and you come running after that, you better deliver, or else it's pretty embarrassing. Well, he's not delivering right now.
No, and they spent a lot of money getting him. He's their stopper out of the bullpen, and he's not stopping anything right now. I think it's 3.
Stopping him from winning right now.
Well, yeah. Yeah. You know what he is? He's kind of the prevent defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
It never works. So, he's lost, I think it's 3 within the past 7 days or something like that. And that has cost them, but this is a slump. They'll come out of it. The Dodgers are just too good not to.
Dave Roberts comes out yesterday, and I was listening to the V's and guys, as I do every morning on the way in, and they were talking about, Dave Roberts says, well, who do you want me to go to? Well, and the announcer for V's that came back after that, he was fired up. He's like, Tanner Scott has been a good closer for them all summer while Diaz was hurt. Because Diaz missed, 2.5 months?
Something
maybe?
like that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Tanner Scott had, I want to say, maybe 15 saves in that time. And he's a reliable guy in a bullpen. He's probably sitting there going, wait a minute, what did I just do for the last 2 months for you? And so, but they're paying Diaz, $100 million, I think?
It's a lot of money, yeah.
And he's 32 years old, and it's a lot of dead money if you don't get him figured out. But, Major League Baseball's got to love it because anytime the Dodgers have some heat put on them, that means people are staying a little more engaged with it. Wanted to look and see standings-wise. They're still 8 games ahead of the Padres and 9 ahead of the Diamondbacks, so they've got a little bit of runway to get the Diaz thing figured out if they want to, but you can't sit him. I mean, I guess you could put him in lower leverage situations.
Yeah, and what they'll probably do, if this continues, is make him very selective as far as his relief appearances are concerned, maybe to mop up, to get his stroke back and so forth and so on. 'Cause he is a good pitcher. He's just in one of those circumstances now where it's just not working for him.
Well, and I love the entrance. I mean, that's, especially, L.A. just copied basically what they were doing in New York when he was with the Mets. The lights flashing and him, taking his time coming out from the bullpen and stuff. It's pretty cool. So we'll see if the Dodgers they've got the Brewers for 4, don't they, this weekend?
It is
first of 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. First one was last night, and the Brewers won.
Yeah. Cardinals, that we mentioned, had the day off. It's a 1:21 pitch today. Matthew Liberatore and Clay Holmes, the matchup there, Wrigley Field. Cards have won 3 consecutive series here, and just. It seems like every time we're ready to bury them and say, oh, they are what we thought they were, then they go out and they win series, and they're right there still in the wild card hunt.
Are they 1 or 2 games above 500 now?
61 and 60. And, hanging in there, and this is a big series with the Cubs. Cubs are hot right now. Cubs have pulled within 4 of the Brewers. Mm-hmm. Cubs are 20 above 500, And that offense, as they usually do in August, they start heating up a little bit, and that's
and
what's
Scott, I think, I'm not sure of the exact number, but I think the Cubs and Brewers had something like 7 games head-to-head.
I did hear that. I think, I didn't realize this was a thing until we, joined Veasan and the gambling world and everything, but they have bets on team with the most wins per month. So, like, it's one of those prop bets that, okay, which team, and here's the odds, is going to win the most games in August. And so I guess, it keeps people engaged for the whole month because, you got somebody that they just get hot for a week or so. I mean, look at the Red Sox. Was it July that they won so many of those games?
But now they have begun to slide the other way a bit.
Well, and that's just baseball.
It is baseball.
I mean, you win 10 or 12 in a row, you're going to drop 5 or 6 in a row because it balances out. But, Liberatore and Holmes today, 120. Always love a Cardinals-Cubs series because it's just usually fireworks galore.
And always big crowds.
Absolutely. And it'll be a little toasty probably at Wrigley today, too, I would think.
Well, I think I'm right on this. Don't the Chicago Bears play at home tomorrow or maybe Sunday?
Are they one?
And I think it's opposite the Cubs game.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
which is an odd piece of scheduling.
It is, yeah. Royals had the day off. We mentioned that. They've got the Angels starting tonight, Seth Lugo and Grayson Rodriguez. Rodriguez was a guy that when he was coming up with the Orioles was regarded as the number 1 pitching prospect in baseball, and that hasn't really panned out the way they thought. They traded him to the Angels, and I think he's been a little better, but he's a guy that just can't stay healthy either.
I must admit, I've been derelict on checking on him, but wasn't Jackson Holiday? They paid him something like $8 or $9 million to sign. How has he done?
Just very mediocre.
Has it been?
He had some injury problems, and now he's kind of settled into being about a 240 hitter and a little bit of pop and maybe steal some bases, but not anywhere close to what they thought. And he's got a little brother, Ethan Holiday, that's a Rockies prospect, and he's kind of done the same thing, not really taken off like I think he was a first rounder too, and sometimes those names don't completely pay off like the
although
family
mom and dad. They visited down here quite a bit. Anyway, Mom and Dad always felt like the younger of the two, Ethan, was the better of the two ball players.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the mother was disturbed because the son was not going to school.
That doesn't sit well with moms sometimes there. One other baseball note before we get to our break, and then we'll come back with the rest of the stuff. But the Springfield Cardinals beat Northwest Arkansas 10-3 last night at Route 66 Stadium. Get a career high, and Ned is happy with this. 6 innings out of Liam Doyle. He went 6 last night, struck out 6, walked 4, got to get that fixed, and gave up 2 hits and only 1 run in a 10-3 win there.
And I can understand them taking him out then because this is a one-sided ball game.
Yeah.
But he pitched well.
Well, and he's, guys like that they've paid a lot of money, they're going to baby that arm a little bit. And his previous high was 5 2/3. Finally went 6 last night. Springfield had 3 homers in the game. First Double-A homer for Ty Pete. Do you know much about him?
No, I do not.
Anytime I see P-E-T-E, I always think of Calvin.
I don't know how long he's been up with the team, but it's a relatively short time.
Yeah. Dakota Harris and Trey Richardson also homered for Springfield. Reniel Rodriguez doubled in a run. He had reached base 4 times last night. Jesus Baez had an RBI single in the bottom of the 5th that went 114 miles per hour off the bat. That kid, he's kind of below the radar because of the other Baez and because he plays on a team here with Rodriguez and Doyle. But Jesus Baez, they're going to have to figure out how to get him up in St. Louis pretty quick.
And it's interesting because both of those Baez, and I doubt very much that they're related, but the fact is they are both long ball hitters and very consistent with what they do.
Yeah, and I think Jesus is going to wind up at third because as we've talked a lot about, what are you going to do with Mason Wynn and J.J. Weatherholt up the middle? You don't have room for another shortstop. You probably ought to clear. And third base is open. I mean, Blaze Jordan is not the answer over there. Nolan Gorman wasn't the answer. Jesus Baez has got to be sitting there going, hey, I think I might be able to do that eventually there. So Let's take a break, come back, and talk football, golf, and everything else.
This is the starting lineup. Thanks for being with us. Back in a second. We are into the starting five. Continue.
I was going to tell you, big day today, Ned, and I know this will resonate with you, but the Paw Patrol, the Dino movie, comes out tonight. So
I can't wait.
Yeah, we're taking the 3-year-old Bennett to his first ever trip to the movie theater tonight. He is pumped. He doesn't have any idea what he's getting into.
Where is it playing?
We're going to the Alamo, and my son and his lovely wife and my wife and I are taking him, and we've told him about popcorn the size of a barrel, and he could not be more pumped. So get out and see Paw Patrol, the Dino movie tonight if you're out. Need some plans tonight.
I can't do it tonight.
Can't do it tonight.
We have a retirement party tonight.
Oh, that's right. And Ron was great yesterday.
I thought he did very well.
Yeah, and I was kicking myself because we couldn't get the video part worked out because his audio wasn't coming on for some reason, but I actually put that up on Facebook that it was neat to talk to him and the respect he had for you. Did you know that or not?
Well, he and I did share the same space. It was shared by Fred Miller.
Yeah.
Fred and Di used to come up there, and that was their area. In fact, we had some very memorable moments. Fred was my best friend.
Yeah.
And just a wonderful human being. Well, when he retired, Hearst came up there and occupied that same area. So, yeah, we did work together.
I am 100% convinced that when they put together the movie idea for Anchorman, it was based on the KY3 crew back in the day. It had to be Tony Beeson, Steve Grant, you, and Fred Miller, because the characters were very similar to I guess Anchorman would have been Beeson, though, wouldn't it, probably back then?
Well, Bill Williams was before him, and Bill was really an outstanding broadcaster. Outstanding. Yeah. And Beeson came along, and then we had others before that. Do you ever go to St. Michael's downtown?
I've been there several, great desserts.
And Russo has a picture on the wall, and it's you're in the thing.
I am, okay.
And it's
Is that my internship?
Yep.
Yeah.
And everybody says, well, there's Reynolds, and there's Steve Grant, and who's that young kid in there?
I had on white pants, I think, in that picture, too. Does anybody ever wear white pants? Do they make white pants
Not anymore, no.
Yeah. That tells you how old the picture was. But, Nick, they have the best. I know the strawberry cake is really good down there, but his wife makes those, I think.
Well, she does, and to the point where I have a longtime friend, Colonel Marty, and Colonel Marty lives in St. Louis. He was down here the other day. And
is that Fred Marty?
It's Fred's brother.
Okay.
And this is Colonel Tom. And Colonel Tom, when he came down here, went there and bought, I think, a flat of them. I think that's how they're made, in kind of flats or whatever, and took it back to St. Louis.
Oh, wow. It's good. Coach Hesser, his dad, Bud, used to go to Montenay Inn down in Rogers, and Bud lived in Stillwater. He would take a cooler and buy like 3 different fried chicken dinners and take them back to Stillwater and eat them. It sounds kind of like the same thing there. But other stories, top stories for the starting five. The Memphis golf is underway. FedEx St. Jude Classic. Jordan Spieth is one of 5 in a 5-way tie for the lead at -5. Scotty Scheffler opens with a 2-under par round. Rory, 4 over par.
4 over.
Second worst score in the 70-player field for Rory there. And, of course, he'll still get to St. Louis next week. But,
now, they're so tightly bunched. It's 7 guys are 1 shot back at 4 under par. I'll tell you the guy who I think is going to emerge out of that, Goddard. It's about time for him to start doing something.
He's a good player, played at OU. The guy that I picked this week, and one of the little deals we do, is Sam Burns. I think he
plays well.
He's played very well lately. He's due. I've got Oberg next week in St. Louis, so if he's screwing up Thursday and you're watching TV and you hear some guy, come on, Oberg, that's me yelling at him probably from the crowd. But NFL preseason week 1 underway last night, 6 games. Kind of the highlight game for us was the Raiders and the Cardinals. I did not see it because you had to have like ESPN 13 to be able to see it, I think, or whatever. But
well,
Jacob
it was on mine.
Oh, was it? How'd you find it?
Well, when I got home, and it was quite late when I did, I turned it on just to see what football games were there, and it was that one.
Was it NFL Network?
NFL Network.
Okay, yeah. What they do is, so to see any of these live, you've got to have one of the many different, or local channel or whatever. but then they will replay every game on NFL Network just back to
Eventually,
back.
yes.
So it must have been that. But Fernando Mendoza looked good, 10 for 16, threw a touchdown pass, I think 90-something yards. I saw a highlight of him threading the needle with the throw. I think he's going to get on the field for them sooner than later.
Well, they want him on there sooner. And Cousins is good, and he's there as a good backup. I was really hoping that Clark would get in there, but he did not. He didn't get any action at all.
I wondered about that because I just went to the box score. I didn't see any attempts or anything.
Aidan O'Connell played. He was the other backup.
Okay. Not really any other highlights or major injuries, I don't think. There's 3 games tonight, and then, of course, 7 more tomorrow, including the Rams at the Chiefs. 3 o'clock kickoff from beautiful, cool climate at Arrowhead Stadium tomorrow. Matt Derrick, we'll talk to him coming up at 8 o'clock with Chiefs Digest about what kind of crowd they think they'll have at Arrowhead. And this has been going on for years, but those season ticket holders are basically forced to take these preseason games.
It's part of your season ticket.
It's part of your package. So, 90% of them probably try to either give them to friends that never go to a game. If you go on to like StubHub or SeatGeek or one of the secondary markets, you'll find tickets for $3 and $5 and all that because you can't give them away. But,
I know, Scott, from an economic standpoint, I do understand why the owners have this. It's their profit. I don't think the players get paid or whatever the circumstance is. But it bothers me that they don't barnstorm the way they used to. I loved that concept of football. And the last time I remember the Chiefs, they played at Norman, Oklahoma in a game and drew 70,000 for the game. That was one. There's so many others who would do that, go out to different communities where you didn't normally see the games. And I really feel that made a big difference. But no, you can't do it now because of the season ticket plan.
Let me ask you this. If they still did that and they came to Springfield and played at Plaster, would it sell out 17,000?
Damn well better.
Yeah. Do you have any idea? Even if they charged like $100 a ticket and just made it general admission, $100 you get in,
yes,
they would sell out, wouldn't they?
I think they would, yes.
Yeah.
Another case in point is the NBA. They used to barnstorm. In fact, there were 3 games down here.
I remember that.
And
Dikembe Mutombo came here one time.
Dikembe Mutombo came here, played I think that was Atlanta.
Nuggets and the Hawks, wasn't it?
It was, Nuggets and Hawks.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you who else was here, too, was the human highlight film.
Dominique Wilkins.
Yes.
He was at the very back end of his career, wasn't he, at that point?
He had knee surgery, and I watched his drills, and he was not at all shy about talking about it.
Yeah.
Back and forth and back and forth. He said, this is what you have to do.
When was that? If we had to guess on a year, would that have
it
been?
was in the old Hammond Center, not the new building.
Maybe 93, 94.
Well, the last one I think was 92 or 93 because Winston Garland played in the game. That was the Denver Nuggets. And, I would say that's the last one we had, 93.
Now, I know that some teams still do a little bit of that. I think the Thunder play in Tulsa usually one game a year in the exhibition season, and to give the fans kind of up in that area a chance to go see too as well. But
matter of fact, that last game, it was Denver against Atlanta in that very final game, and Winston played in the ball game, and so did, I know you remember this name, Muddo Hall.
Yes, Ernest Muddo Hall from SBU. I started the paper in 84 as a part-timer, 85 full-timer. I got to cover the high schools and Evangel and things like that for a few years. Then I took a year, and they wanted to beef up the small college, so I covered SBU, Drury, and Evangel. And that was a good year to pick SBU because that was when Jerry Kirksey had Muddo Hall. What was the big guy? The big guy that unfortunately got killed in a car wreck, 6'9".
Yes,
was it Michael Harris maybe, or was his name Harris?
Something like that, yes. And that was the team, I believe, that went to the Division II Final Four.
Kirksey had gone out and found, I think, maybe 7 Division I transfers that came in.
That's what they were.
They were fun to watch. I would put that SBU team up against just about any team that we've had in our area in terms of entertainment value because they were really, really good. But a couple other notes before we go to break. The NASCAR race, a reminder, it's on Saturday this week. It's at Richmond tomorrow night. And then one other note, and this is just stupid. This Jaden Daniels deal. Have you followed it or seen the story? Jaden Daniels, the Commanders quarterback, his representatives, which is always a bad word with these guys, have filed a cease and desist order to LSU to stop using his name, image, and likeness because he's mad because they've let a kid wear his number 5 jersey that he wore back in 2023. And it's a really good player at LSU, DJ Pickett, I think's the name, that Brian Kelly promised him he could wear. Number 5 was always his jersey. Well, for whatever reason, he wore 3 last year. Lane Kiffin gets down there, and he says, I don't care, wear 5. Well, so he starts wearing number 5, and all of a sudden Jaden Daniels says, it's a complete lack of respect. I won a Heisman down there in 23. What are you doing? Why is somebody wearing my number? Keep in mind your jersey is not retired.
Thank you, sports fans.
Yes, and I guess the whole thing is, don't you have bigger fish to fry with the Commanders, like maybe even keeping yourself healthy?
There is the problem.
Yeah.
We worry about all these little picayune things that don't mean anything and concentrate on them, and there's a problem. That's a major problem.
It is, and so I'm sure that his locker room in D.C. is not real thrilled that this is an issue right now, and I thought it was funny. I think it was StubHub. I retweeted it yesterday, but they came out and said, in honor of Jaden Daniels, we will no longer be selling tickets in packages of 5, that we will be you have to buy either 4 seats or 6 seats from now
That's
on
funny.
because we don't want to infringe upon Jaden Daniels' number there as well. So that's our top stories. Let's take a break and visit with the scoreboard guy.
Quick timeout on the starting lineup, and don't go away. Much more on the agenda. And the starting lineup is brought to you by Played Against Sports, by Swing Right Golf, by Marshfield Chevrolet, and by Citizens Bank of Rogersville. Ned Reynolds along with
Scott Puryear.
And a special guest.
In his usual spot on Friday mornings, now with the school football and everything else season about to start, we welcome in scoreboard guy, Guy Newcomb. Guy, good morning.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. It's the calm before the storm here as I sat out on my deck watching my garden get watered.
There you go. I don't know if that's slang for anything, watching my garden get watered, but I may start using that. The Missouri Sports Network, when do you guys start kicking things in? Is it next week with Jamborees, or do you wait till the 28th in the official football openings?
No, next week, I've got a number of interviews lined up from around the state, the Parkway North, Blair Oaks, Ted LePage at Blair Oaks, Orchard Farm, Blue Springs South. We'll start interviewing some of those coaches. Platte County, played in a probably the best state championship game of the season last year in that overtime win over Carthage. They've got a new head coach, Derrick Yost, there. We'll be visiting with him this week, and then we'll take in some of the softball, volleyball as well. So we'll start kind of ramping up next week, and we're starting to put things together. And I didn't know what hashtags were, but starting to put hashtags together, and so folks will be able to go to their phone and just hashtag next to high school football, and boom, you're right there on their page. They got their roster, their schedule, their scores, and everything.
Guy, that you partially explained what I was going to ask. Tell the folks a little bit about how the network is in effect, and can you hear it literally on the radio, or is it all on internet?
We've got a YouTube channel, Facebook channel. When we go live, they go live everywhere. Typically our biggest, amount of folks, the largest number of folks that tune in is for the high school football scoreboard show, which we run from 9:30 to 11 every Friday night on our YouTube channel. And we may get, we had as high as 160,000 viewers last year. And folks can type in notes, or if I'm looking for a score, I may reach out to say, hey, does anybody know the score at Mountain View Liberty, Willow Springs? And I'll get a message. They can actually type right there on the page, similar to what you guys have with the text line.
What, and I know one of the intriguing parts for all the high school football teams is they don't find out their classification until, the 26th, 27th of August. And, for some teams that's good news, and some teams it's bad news because you may be moving up in a different classification based on enrollment.
Yeah, you're looking at, teams like maybe Republic that might be on the border there of a Class 5-6. Maybe even a Glendale, Class 4-5, Oliver. They don't really know what their district is until, maybe the night before they play their first game. And it's that way for all softball, volleyball, everything. As those enrollments come out, and they determine the number of teams that are going to be in each classification.
Well, of course, we had our Ozarks Old Timers Luncheon. We appreciate your efforts, as always, to get good guests there and get blast from the past, Scott Bailey's made a couple trips over from Lamar. I was talking to him after. He said, hey, this is great because my wife goes shopping while I come here, so it works out really well for him. But the Jamborees, and we were talking yesterday, one of the great stories was Bailey talking about for Lamar, that was their kid's Super Bowl because they got the Jamboree with Webb City back in the day when they were both, winning state championships left and right. Is that still intact, that group? I know that their next Friday night. What are some of the key matchups out there, Jamboree-wise, and where they are?
Well, and that is. I mean, that Jamboree at Webb City, you will have Joplin and Lamar. Once again, Lamar has made that. I want to say that's probably been maybe 15 years in a row that Lamar has jamboreed with Joplin and Webb City. Webb City, they will not jamboree with Carthage.
Yeah.
They've always, that's kind of that big rivalry down there. Kickapoo and Nixa are together. There's one at Clever. Mount Vernon hosts one this year. Willard hosts a jamboree. Fair Grove, I know Glendale's going to Fair Grove, for their jamboree. El Dorado Springs is hosting the likes of maybe East Newton and Stockton and schools like that. So there'll be quite a few of them. I probably won't make it to a lot of them. I've been out to some practices, was out this morning at Southwest Baptist. Paul Hanson, second year head coach at SBU. I've been kind of going out and watching their practice and kind of helping, just putting another set of eyes on it. So I was over there this morning, and so it's we're right around the corner, and it's kind of that, get ready for the end of daylight savings. You change the batteries in your remote controls and your smoke detectors, and it's football.
Guy, you might tell the folks a little bit about how the Jamboree sites are chosen. Is it by the state or by conference?
It's the schools. The schools that want to host, they'll just reach out and say, hey, we're going to host this year. And typically, at Mount Vernon, you'll have McDonald County will be there. Maybe a Cassville comes up. In the past, Bolivar has went down and participated there at Mount Vernon. So they just kind of, it's on a year-to-year basis. At the end of the season, coaches will reach out, hey, can we host this year or this following year? And they'll just invite folks. And typically you'll get 3 or 4 schools that will be there. And it's good for the referees, too, because you've got 3 or 4 schools in the same location. And they need, they've got preseason work they need to get done as well.
And it's always intriguing how teams handle the jamborees because it's usually very vanilla. They're not showing anything because they know that such and such, if they play in the season opener a week later, may have somebody up there in the stands watching for this and that. And I guess there are no rules with that in high school. College, I don't think you can get away with that because ask Michigan. I think they had some ways to get around it, but. I was trying to think on the drive in, some of the teams that I think are the most intriguing because you've got your usual suspects, your Nixas and Carthages and Republics that are going to be good because they're good every year. But some of the teams that may take that next step, and the ones I thought of in particular were Logan Rogersville with Joel Wells in his second year and kind of putting his system in, and they got just a ton of speed. Glendale with Frank Tristan that, Chris Parker said earlier in the week, they may have the best receiving room or one of them in the state. Kickapoo with Bill Voris now, and see what happens there with the change, at the top. Are those some that are on your list of teams really to kind of pay attention to this season early on?
Oh, absolutely. I would add maybe just an inquisitive would be maybe Fair Grove with Voris leaving. What are they going to be like? They've been so good for so many years, just haven't been able to get over that hump. They got to a state championship game against Lamar a year or two ago. And another one is Bolivar. Robert Clardy at Bolivar. They've got some really good young talent coming in, of which his son is a member of that, that either junior high or freshman class. Are they going to be able to take that next step where when Lance Roten was here, they would routinely have 100 kids out, for football. And then when he left and Bolivar kind of got kicked out, so to speak, of the small COC, and they were playing in Arkansas and Oklahoma, well, kids just didn't want to be on bus rides for, 11 hours. And so those numbers have started to come back up. And with them being in the Ozark Mountain Conference as well, that has helped.
The other one that I forgot to mention is Catholic, Springfield Catholic and West Page, because they made a great turnaround last year. had a very fine season. They've got a lot of people back too, don't they? Springfield Catholic.
Yeah, they do, and Coach Page has done a wonderful job. Look forward, to the Springfield Area Quarterback Club. Get to hear him talk about his team a little bit coming up this season. And like I said, it was kind of out of nowhere last year, where they just, I believe they started 5-0 at one point last year. So can they kind of keep that momentum going? And then what classification are they going to be?
Yeah.
Where are they going to fall into that classification?
Well,
and another one's Clever. Clever had a tremendous year under Mac Whitehead, a year ago.
ADs aren't doing their job right if they don't get wind of how close they are to kick some kids out, right before the deadline there. They got better at that. But
matter of fact, we had Coach Whitehead on the air with us, I think, a couple of weeks ago, if I remember correctly. He talked a little bit about it. They had some really good game with Catholic last year, and nice little matchups. And I suspect that'll occur this year as well.
Guy, you touched on a new home for a quarterback club. You guys have moved now to Golden Corral, the 2020 East Primrose. Marty Hogan and his staff just do a great job with events over there. We have our Ozarks Old Timers Luncheons there once a month. That basically means that if I go to quarterback club, I get another shot at the crab salad each week, which is my favorite there.
That is great.
But was this a move designed just simply for more space and more parking and everything else?
It was. Bambino's and Andy Fawcett was tremendous to us over the past 3 years. Prior to that, we were at Pizza Ranch, Wyatt Wheeler's favorite place. But we just kind of outgrew that parking place there at Half the Hill. Our parking lot at Half the Hill, and the space there at Bambino's, went by Art Haynes and myself, and Johnny McNeil went over and met with Marty, and he's like, yeah, that room will hold 66, and for our awards banquet, you can open up that other room and make it into, maybe we'll hold about 110, and we'll have that, our awards banquets during football, basketball, and baseball. So that's a tremendous move. I've been a part of this it's my 17th year now, and being part of the quarterback club, and I know it's been going on for 75 years, but it may be in the time that I've been involved, probably the best food you're going to get. And we can't, for the first 17 years I was involved, it was $10. Well, you can't do that anymore, and Marty cut us a really good deal. So the prices only went up by $3, and everybody I've talked to, they just love the idea and love the room and the space, and bringing that sound system in there really helps as well.
Ned, I got a call yesterday from one of the sons of the late Bob Price, the Glendale coach, and he's approaching Medicare age. And so we were talking about the good old days of Glendale football. And one of my favorite quarterback club memories is when my oldest son was born, Marcus. Bob Price comes in and gets up there up front, and he breaks out this Glendale Falcons football jersey with M. Puryear on the name on the back, and it was number 54, and Price, in his voice, as only he could say, goes, well, I figured 54 because if he's as fat and slow as his father, he's definitely going to be a lineman.
That would be Bob Price.
That was a classic Bob Price move there, but, the good old days of Price and Pearson and Steve Spencer was in town, sure. And, all those guys, it's been entertaining. When is the first quarterback club?
August 31st, we'll open up on that Monday. We were going to wait because we don't host them on holidays. So if we don't go on the 31st, we would have to wait till September 14th, and everybody have 3 games in. So we're going to go ahead and open up on August 31st, and we've got. I think I sent emails to both of you. If not, I will. Just on the guest list, what coaches are coming in. We've expanded to 22 high schools now, plus the colleges, Missouri State, Evangel, and we've added Southwest Baptist.
Wanted to, on our Ozarks Old Timers Luncheons, it's kind of funny. I'll kind of look around while people are talking, and people that aren't in our little room back there at Golden Corral, they walk by and they just look in, and the one they recognize is Ned Reynolds. And I almost feel like we're in a zoo, that maybe soon they're going to start tapping the glass when they go by to see if Ned will respond there. But, and of course, the other part of that, Guy, you've seen this last Wednesday, in the separated room right behind us, it was a bunch of my potential Medicare clients there A lot of ladies walking by and looking in there and seeing old Ned Reynolds in there.
That's a lot of rubbish. You're there, you know that doesn't happen.
The old days of the Heritage Cafeteria had been replaced. But anyway, but it's a good time, and you do a good job with the quarterback club, and of course played against sports with your leadoff club. Gave away some uniforms. Are we working on that with some more stuff this winter?
Yeah, we last year in the leadoff club we gave away a set, or played again.
Yeah.
We had a drawing for a set of new baseball uniforms, and then the Missouri Sports Network kicked it up a notch, and we donated a set of uniforms too that we purchased from Played Against Sports. We're working on something similar for basketball. I've got a meeting with Sal, with the two Jeffs, I guess, so to speak, coming up next week about what kind of involvement they can have. In years past, they've donated the plaques, the awards. Collegiate Awards has helped us out. Obviously, Golden Corral is helping us out with some sponsorships, and our good buddy Kurt Thompson. He reached out to me, kind of grabbed by the arm as I was leaving, and said, "Hey, you need any help with the quarterback club?" And I greatly appreciate that. So he stepped in as well. So we're just trying to keep it going.
Guy, what time will the doors open each week, and about how long do the meetings last?
The doors open. You'll be able to get back in there about 11. We will not. Since I've been involved in kind of helping run it with Art, and we do not start until Coach Rowe enters the room. And Coach Rowe, he literally walks in at straight up noon every time. And now he'll text me if he's not coming. But the coaches, Art will start introducing the coaches right at noon, and we're out of there by 12:35, 12:40. But come as early as you want and sit around and visit. And the coaches, they typically get there pretty early. Their food, Missouri Sports Network takes care of the coaches' meals. And so they get there early, and they enjoy that just about as much as getting to talk about their kids as being able to interact with other head coaches.
Sure. We see that on the old timers luncheons, and we took a hit a little bit on Wednesday because Missouri State football had their kickoff luncheon at the same time, and I kind of joked about it, but it was basically a Webb City football tribute with John and Kurt, and then of course Scott Bailey helped out there a little bit, and it had to kill Corey Riggs, being a Webb City grad, not to be able to be there while he was doing the Bears thing. But Coach Rowe and Coach Gutton, who are regulars at our deal, I'm sure we'll get them back next time. And I did talk to Sparky Woods about getting his son to come out to one of our old timers this fall too. So that should be fun.
Well, and Coach Woods, I'm fairly certain he'll be a part of when he can.
Yeah.
The quarterback club. He wanted to be there. He was a guest that we had reached out to, and he said, "Hey, I can't make it. I got to speak at this, but I'm going to send my dad and Mark Watson, who's the general manager, so to speak." And so they were there. So I'm looking forward to them being involved as well.
And that might be the first time in 44 years that he said the words, "I can't make it," Casey Woods, because he makes everything there. So, Guy, we appreciate it. Next Friday, let's talk Jamboree sites and teams and get kind of start digging in on the football, okay?
We will, and for a lot of these teams with these indoor facilities, that may be the first time they're outside.
Yeah, they'll actually have sweat beads. What is this? What is on my body here? Yeah, so, all right, hey, we appreciate it. We'll
talk. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks,
Guy. Thank you so much.
And we are back in a second. And thank you very much for joining us on the starting lineup. Real quickly, what do we have?
Second hour, we're going to talk to Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest coming up here at 8 o'clock. A little preview of the Rams and Chiefs preseason game tomorrow and what's been going on up in St. Joe. And then 8:30, Barry Hinson. Barry Hinson going to join us, and we're going to talk barbecue and NIL and everything that Barry probably loves to talk about. We'll be talking about with Barry Hinson.
And this is our mid-show timeout. Brief break and then much more coming up. Please, folks, stay right where you are.